Is that a lightsaber in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? As usual for these videos, spoiler warning for the Dark Tower series. Pretty much spoiler warning for anything and everything. I never really know what I'm going to spoil, but I'm probably going to spoil something, and I just really want the freedom to kind of discuss these books. As excited as I was to reread these books with the idea of seeing if everything held up in the way that I thought it would, and some books in particular, I was kind of extra interested in the idea of seeing if my feelings still were what they were 17 years ago when I originally read these books. And even though that idea really spans the entire series, now we're kind of getting into the section that I more so really wanted to reread to see if they really held up, or to see if my opinions would stay the same. And this book in particular has always gone near the bottom of the list. I mean, obviously it can't be like the worst of the worst, because that's a very special title that is reserved for the drawing of the three. So it has to go like second to last on the list as far as quality of Dark Tower books. And don't get me wrong, this is my favorite book series of all time. I love these books. So you hear me say stuff like the worst of the worst, and it's really not a bad book. But as far as, the 7 Dark Tower books go, if you're going to rank them, and let's be real, we have to rank everything. Everything is rated, everything is ranked, and everything is judged. But it always goes towards the bottom. And it always has. In my mind, as I've thought back on it over the years, I've even questioned it. Like, because you have these conversations with other people, and you read stuff online, and everybody's always like, oh, the Wolves of the Calla. Like, people like this book. So it kind of makes you question, why do I have it second to last? So does it hold up? Did my opinions change over the years, I guess is what's going to happen. Upon reread, what did I decide? No, it's still second to last. It really falls down there on the bottom. It just does. And I think after rereading it, I have a handle on this. I can at least point to why. As with any book, there's going to be a million reasons to love this book, and there's going to be a million reasons not to love this book. But me personally, I think I've put my finger on at least a handful of reasons why I personally don't necessarily love this book. Of course, as always, it's a combination of a few things, and of course, this is the beginning of the end in like every possible conceivable way. It's the beginning of the last 3 books. They were all written together. It's like one big chunk. They were all released together within like a year and a half window or something ridiculous like that. I mean, they were just kind of like da-da-da. And so with this being the big end run, this being the beginning of the end, he decided to do all of the prep work, all of the setup, and what I would normally call all of the heavy lifting goes into this book. All the little pieces that we are going to eventually track through to the very end, and all the drama that he's going to slowly build up to the end, and we're going to start to move into our final resolution. So we're going to do all the prep work for that here. And of course that's necessary. It's necessary in any book, in any story, in anything. But it tends to not be the most engaging and compelling or even fast-paced part of the story. Unless, of course, all that setup and prep work is wrapped up in a truly amazing and engaging story. And therein lies the rub, because this is not that. And I think it comes down to 2 main things that this book does, and it's really takes its time to be 2 things. And if those are the 2 things that you're looking for, then you're going to love this. It is a Western. The gunslingers come into town. There's a problem. Wolves are kidnapping children and taking them, and the gunslingers are going to roll into town, and the gunslingers are going to have to kind of mesh with this Western town and form a last stand, and the gunslingers come in to save the day, and it's great. It's a good story. It's an engaging story. It's very well done. It's very well told. The only problem with this story, with the gunslingers coming to town and waging some final battle that's going to, whatever. The only problem with this story is the fact that this story has been done by King already in a previous Dark Tower book and done better with the flashback to the kids and Medjus. He even compares Calla Bryn Sturgis to Medjus in the book. Roland has this realization of just how similar Calla Bryn Sturgis is to Medjus, and it's intentional, and it's supposed to be like, I don't know, symbolic, or what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But it just feels like we've already had a version of this story, and it's been done better by King himself in the last book. Then, the other huge part of this book that takes up so much weight and space is this the sequel to Wizard and Glass, or is this the sequel to Salem Slot? Well, what's the answer to that? Well, it's kind of both. It was almost like at the time he wanted to write the sequel to Salem Slot, but he's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be writing the next Dark Tower book. Well, what if I just put them together? I don't know. And if you're looking for the sequel to Salem Slot, it's in here. Personally, wasn't looking for that back then or now. And bringing Father Callahan in is actually just a great idea. I love Father Callahan. I like him in this book. I like him as a member of the story. He integrates beautifully. I love him a lot. I like his character a lot. I like the fact that his character's here a lot. But I don't care much for the extra novel of his backstory being mixed in, and his backstory's dull and it's not exciting, and for some strange reason it's a story that Stephen King seemed to really want to tell, so much so that he wrote literally like 3 books with this exact story retold in 3 different ways. I mean, between this and Dr. Sleep and the Revival. And I know this one came first, but if I'm being perfectly honest, if there is a best version of that story, it's probably Revival. Although that's a topic for a different video. But it's just a story that I didn't care to get, and when I did get it, I didn't think it was super engaging. I thought it was really a drag on the book in general. That could have been said quicker and better. But all that being said, the world building continues to be completely next level. I don't even know how to explain it. It's the world building as a whole for all of this series, from the Gunslinger all the way up till the end, is just so phenomenal. It's not world building, it's multiverse building, and it's tying everything he's ever written in his entire career together, and it continues to be a shining beacon among literature as far as world building is concerned, and as far as universe building is concerned, multiverse building is concerned. He continues to just stack layer on top of layer on top of layer, and it is still just phenomenal. And then of course the character work in this is just on point as always. He is so good with character. I've always said it, I will always say it, and as much as dull and as I thought Calla Bryn Sturgis was not the best part of the story, and it's a story that's been told before and better, that doesn't change the fact that once you start actually getting into the characters of Calla Bryn Sturgis, they just feel so genuine and real, and he's just so good with character work. Even in a story that I'm going to sit here and complain about, I can't complain about his character work because he's just so proficient. And at this point in his career, this is further down the line where I've said before, he's always been great at character work. That is one of his, if not his, strongest skill as a writer, is his ability to do characters. But as he gets older and further into his career, he gets more succinct, and he gets to be able to do it quicker, and he gets his point across with far less words than he would have used when he was younger. But anyway, great stuff. Real good stuff here. Real good character. It's just the character master continues to nail the character. And then in the end, you get that fight scene. And sometimes when King writes action, he's like a wizard. He can do some tense, fast-paced action scenes, and he has a way of writing them that is beyond engaging. You are just, I don't know if you're glued to the page, but you're sucked in. I mean, it is intense on a level that, once again, nigh untouched by other authors, at least that I've found. And this is a beacon, another shining example of when he does something well, holy shit. And it's not long. Boy, is it just a blink and you'll miss it. But once the shooting starts, once the wolves roll in, once it's time for the final showdown, it is so masterfully written. It is so well done. It's dark. It's tense. You're literally on the edge of your seat. And when that boy dies, fuck me. I mean, I was not ready. I did not see it come. I just blew me away back then and now. And I know what's going to happen. And I'm still like, God, like, it's just so good. So anyway, so what do we have here? Let's wrap this up. This doesn't need to be a long video. So in conclusion, I would say that The Wolves of the Calla did exactly what it needed to do and what it intended to do. Had a lot of Stephen King staples that Stephen King has always done well and continues to do very well in this book, with some truly and genuinely standout moments, and all of that is wrapped in a quasi-lackluster package. I think I said at the beginning of this, all these books are 9s and 10s, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give this one an 8. I think it's a good solid 8. I think that's a very realistic number for this book to land on, because it is definitely a good book. But I don't know if it's good enough to be a 9. As much as I love The Dark Tower, I think this is a good solid 8. Anyway, please jump down in the comments, tell me just how right I am or just how wrong I am. I'd love to know what you think of The Wolves of the Calla. Where does it fall on your list of Dark Tower books? Anyway, everybody, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.